I see you at the Little Match Girl Passion in January in Philadelphia, and you tell me you're going to set Spanish anarchist writings.
Right.
Okay?
Yeah.
But that's not where we wound up.
No, we ended up someplace very different.
Talk about that journey.
So I started thinking about what was important to Philip Levine's background as a thinker about workers, as a thinker about human rights and honesty and fairness and justice in the world. And what was really important for him was his connection to Spanish anarchists. So he was tremendously influenced by not just the Spanish Civil War, not just the anarchists, but also the poetry, the language, the activity of the whole thing. It was a huge influence on him. When I started thinking about it, you know, I don't have that much in common. So selfishly, I started thinking, well, again, this is still too close to the original for me to feel like it's enough for me to identify with it.
Right.
It's really hard for me to actually say, okay, well, here's what happened to, you know, Benvenuto Durruti, and, you know, that's why it's important. It really wasn't important in my life. It was important in his life. And I was trying to think of something that happened in my background as a, you know, as a lefty thinker.
Right.
You know, my political background. And so that led me to thinking about this, you know, incredible famous text by Eugene Debs.
Now, obviously, you haven't written a piece that's, you know, that's somehow standing on a soapbox and banging this over our heads. So where did you go with it? What did you do with the text? And
well, here's what I did. The text it's called Statement to the Court. It's the statement that he read at his sentencing for sedition. So so before he went to jail. And it talks about a little bit about his background, how he got to this place, where he decided to dedicate his life to this better vision. It articulates what this better vision is, and it articulates his hopefulness and confidence that that we will get there together. We live in a country at this moment who has forgotten that at one time socialism was a beacon of optimism. So this is really the point of this piece, is I don't really want to say socialism is an answer. I don't want to say what the answer is. That's why in this piece, when we talk about it, I'll tell you how I've sort of adapted the text. What I want to say, and what I think is missing from my life, is the articulation of an optimistic vision of the future.
right.
And to me, this is so necessary, because without that, you can't build anything. Without an optimistic vision of the future, you can only compete for who is going to tear down what we have less.
Yes.
And this is something that drives me nuts.
Me too. Maybe that's why we get along so well.
You know, I look at these pieces as a moment set aside for contemplation on a certain issue. I've tried to make the music so that it supports that issue, it supports a way of looking at it. It's not trying to tell people this is the right way to think about it or the wrong way to think about it. I've tried to use the way the music works to show my idea about how the politics work. For example, this is the interesting thing, I hope, about the way that I have set this up, is that everyone sings every line of the text, every single word of the text in unison. So the text is completely sung in unison. The chords change, the notes change,
Right.
but everything is sung completely in unison, and yet everyone gets a solo. So somebody will leave the group, sing that solo line, go back to the group.
Okay.
And the orchestra is completely subservient to the chorus. The orchestra is not overwhelming. The orchestra barely does anything other than what the chorus does. You know, they don't, you know, it opens with a solo singer. When the chorus comes in, the orchestra comes in, etc. So there are two different things which go on simultaneously. I mean, they're completely coordinated, so it's not like there's any freedom. Yeah, there's no freedom, right? You know, because of course, you know, the weird thing about writing music about socialism is that, you know, composing is really about fascism, you know, unfortunately. So, but what I've tried to do is to create this thing where everyone is part of the community and is an individual. Because I feel like that's an important message of the text.
Yeah.